Hi, this is your host, Lynn Pete. Please enjoy this rebroadcast on are prescription drugs and over-the-counter drugs affecting you? Please enjoy this. We'll be back to you real soon. Thanks.
Welcome to Health News and Views, a podcast dedicated to bringing some clarity to the health disparities in the Black and Brown communities. If you believe there's a connection between food, sickness, and health, then you're in the right place. Let's begin the process of unraveling the truth. And now, your host, Lynn Pete.
Well, greetings and welcome back to another episode of Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier. I'm your host, Lynn Pete. Well, thanks for stopping by. And today's episode is going to be as interesting as they all are, at least to me. Today, we're exploring the possibility of the over-medicating of America. Can you remember when Mom and Dad had it together back when you were a child? They seemed to have an answer for every one of our tricks and tales we used in an attempt to get our way. And they were the smartest people we knew. Do you maybe now have a friend, a dear friend, that lately seems to be out of sorts or irritable almost all the time? Conversations with them may be different or even difficult. Once sharp as a tack is now slower, more confused at times, and maybe even repeating themselves. Well, what happened? Let's take a look at some statistics and see if there really is a reason for the changes that we see or that we ourselves may be experiencing. But first, our disclaimer. Subject matter provided in this podcast or any of our other published documents is for informational purposes only. Food, the Final Frontier, and our partner, healthnewsandviews.info. We do not attempt to treat, diagnose, or cure any disease or condition. Always check with your healthcare provider before making any lifestyle, dietary, or prescription drug changes. But before we go on, here's some information about the brain and memory. There's a new study that suggests that on average, the earliest memories that people can recall point back to when they were just 2.5 years old. Can you remember things that happened when you were 2.5 to 3 years old? Well, there's another study that suggests that humans forget approximately 50% of new information within the first hour of learning it. That explains all those, what happened in a lot of our classrooms, right? And they also said that within 24 hours, that number goes up to an average of 70%. How on earth did we get through school? Study. And one last one. Can we run out of memory space? Well, according to crossriverstherapy.com on memory and capacity of the human brain, they said, no, your brain cannot run out of memory. And despite all our other limitations, we don't have to worry about running out of space in our lifetime. And now, some factors that may influence your opinion on aging, memory, and even some physical functions. It has the confluence of a pill for every ill and prescription drugs be our new resolve in today's problem-solving answers? In a 2017 article from Consumer Report on Pill Nation, the rise of prescription drugs, they explained that the total number of prescriptions filled by all Americans, including adults and children, has increased by 85% the last 2 decades. And while the total U.S. population has only increased by 21%, but an 85% increase in the use of prescription drugs? What is going on? According to the Associated Press, they said that swallowing a handful of pills is a daily ritual for many people, from young adults coping with anxiety to older adults managing chronic conditions. And overall, 13% of the people in the U.S. take 5 or more prescription drugs daily. For those 65 and older, that number's 42% are taking some type of prescription drugs. And if you're taking multiple meds, it's smart to be aware of potential problems. And one pill can lead to a side effect, leading to another pill and another side effect, and what experts call prescribing cascade. Consumer Report went on to say that more than half of us in America now regularly take a prescription medication 4 on average. A pill for our ill. Almost 1.3 million people went to U.S. emergency rooms due to adverse drug effects in 2014, and about 124,000 died from those events. And that's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the FDA. Is this you? Or is it someone you know? And what are the most commonly abused prescription drugs? Well, they say there's 3 of them. Opioids, such as Oxycontin and Vicodin. Central nervous system depressants like Xanax and Valium. And stimulants like Concerta or Adderall. These are the most commonly abused prescription drugs. You know, for seniors and the elderly, they seem to be the most medicated. 4 of every 10 older adults take 5 or more medications. That's triple the rate from 20 years ago. Almost 11 million Americans, 2 of every 10 seniors, are on 10 or more drugs. That's crazy. And that's according to Time magazine. In an article that was stated, are you taking too many medications? And you should know what they are. Headache and confusion, dizziness and falls. Weight loss and weight gain, changes in your memory or ability to think and use information. Well, if the majority of us are taking drugs, is there any wonder why things have changed over the last 20 years? Here are some of the most prescribed medications. I'm going to call a few of them. I had a time of 50. I don't have time to do 50, but I'll certainly call out a few. And if any of these sound familiar to you, you might want to stay put for a minute until we find out what's next. What do you do now? Amlodipine. This is a high blood pressure medication. Atorvastatin. The name that we knew about years ago was Lipitor. It's the same thing. It's the top prescribed drug in 2022 and probably also in 2023. In fact, I think it was indicated that particular drug for that company nets them about $7 billion a year. Gabapentin, lisinopril, metformin, omeprazole, which is like Prilosec. This is to treat conditions like ulcers and gastroesophageal reflux disease or GERD. Prednisone, albuterol, acetaminophen, losartan, just to name a few, hydrochlorothiazide. But the question is, could the medicine be causing a problem? That's what the Associated Press asked. What are some of the problems that people may experience? Swelling, incontinence, restlessness, insomnia, constipation, or diarrhea? These are all side effects caused by common medications that sometimes get treated with even newer drugs. Polypharmacy is what it's being called by the NIH, and they said that adults age 65 and older tend to take more medicines than any other group, and that's because they have several diseases or other health problems at the same time. They went on to say that managing multiple medications can be expensive or even difficult to track and hard to manage, especially for those who are homebound. In addition, the use of many medications can increase the risk for adverse reactions and drug interactions. According to the Centers for Disease Control, drugs are taken because of having high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or diabetes. Inappropriate polypharmacy, as defined by the NIH, is the use of excessive or unnecessary medications. And they said it increases the risk of adverse drug effects, including falls and cognitive impairment and harmful drug interactions and drug disease interactions, in which a medication prescribed to treat one condition worsens another or causes a new one. Patients may be prescribed medicines that are unlikely to help or potentially harmful or misaligned with the person's health goals, and creates a tremendous burden on the patients and their families, who need to understand the purpose of these many prescriptions written by multiple providers sometimes. The cardiologist sends you home with something, the nephrologist is sending you home with something, and we get refills, and each medication must be taken at the correct time of day and recognize the side effects. You might want to get a prescription checkup, according to Lisa McCarthy. She's a pharmacist out of the University of Toronto, and she said some of the symptoms could be related to one or more of the medications. And she says, you might want to start with a professional that you trust, like a doctor, and look to start de-prescribing. If you're asking your doctor, don't wait until the end of a 15-minute visit, she says. And she says, instead, make a dedicated appointment to tell them when booking that you want to talk about your medication. Sometimes these medications have been taken for years and don't even know if you still need it. Well, if any of these side effects are anything that you're experiencing, it's probably time to gather up all of the prescription medications and the supplements and the herbal remedies that you're using and take them to a pharmacist or your doctor and ask the question, do I still need to take this? Is this causing a possible problem like constipation, diarrhea, dizziness, drowsiness, dry mouth, a headache, or insomnia being caused by a medication that you're currently taking? If you are having suicidal thoughts, abnormal heart rhythms, or internal bleeding, it's probably time to take a look. Don't be a victim. Take charge of your health. Thanks for stopping by to Health News and Views, Food, the Final Frontier, and do share the info and do come back. There's so much more to discuss. And remember, walking in your purpose refers to living a life that aligns with your passions and values and believing unique contribution to the world. Make it a powerful day. Peace.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Health News and Views. Join us again next time as we continue to explore the correlation between food, sickness, and health. If you like the show, please subscribe and leave a review for Lynn. She would love to hear your comments. Thanks again for listening, and remember, food is the final frontier.